got to get him in somehow because the Panthers have been atrocious against the run. And Tracy might be a guy for some teams that either they pick up off the waiver or draft him late, but I think you have to find a way to get Tyrone Tracy and Panthers points though. Again, torn up on the ground, and Tracy's getting the volume right now. So I think Tracy is a lot higher this week than we usually see him rank.
Yeah, and I picked up Tracy. I didn't draft him, but I picked him up like maybe week 2. He's been ready to go. I've had him out there. He's been paying dividends. I don't see any reason why you would put him on the bench versus this Carolina team. I don't care how much people love Jalen Coker. And shout out to the Cokeheads, right? Like, shout out to the Cokeheads out there that love them some Jalen Coker. That's not going to stop Tyrone Tracy from running all over this Carolina defense.
What you doing, buddy?
When we were in Sarah, we'll look at some up. It's your call. Live here on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Here's what's happening on SiriusXM Sports.
NFL Week 10 is here. SiriusXM NFL Radio with a recap of last night's incredible Baltimore Ravens triumph over the Cincinnati Bengals, along with a comprehensive review of this weekend's games with headline interviews and top analysis. NFL Radio, SiriusXM Channel 88, and the all-new SiriusXM app.
SiriusXM Sports, wherever you are, your team plays here. Sports Break Radio on SiriusXM has you covered this college football season.
All-time college football rivalry is renewed this Saturday with Alabama taking on LSU. The line opened as the Tigers with a 1-point favorite. The total started at 58 but is rising before the big game. Make sure you tune in to Sports Break Radio to stay up to date on all the latest.
The place to get the win edge over the sports books this football season is Sports Break Radio, channel 159 in the car and on the SiriusXM app. Local fans, listen in weekdays to the SiriusXM Blitz, only on SiriusXM NFL Radio. Starring in an expert roster of former players discuss the latest news and updates from around the league. Dive deep with expert game analysis, insights, interviews with players and coaches, and lot more. Plus, each week, our hosts will preview the top games and home team highlights. It's all happening on the SiriusXM Blitz on SiriusXM NFL Radio. Brought to you by Ashley, where game day meets everyday style.
Come on, I don't know if I'll make it.
Hurry, there's lava!
Whoops. Hey, life happens. Which is why your favorite styles from Ashley are available in life-resistant, high-performance fabric with removable, machine-washable fabric slipcovers that make it easy to clean spills, dirt, and imaginary lava. For more mess and less stress, shop Ashley's high-performance furniture in-store or online at ashley.com.
A simple question. Why haven't you called my office at Wealth Builders Institute? Why haven't you called to see how trade stock options could change your life? You know, I learned this method 25 years ago and never looked back. Because when my proprietary rules line up, 75% of the time, the price changes direction, creating a profit opportunity. Fictional trader, because it... Market reversals, which are short-term moves that happen several times each day. So if you failed with other trading systems, they're probably just too complicated, or they flat out don't work. My TSL method is as simple as 1, 2, 3. One strategy, 2 hours a day, trading just 3 stocks. Call now and I'll send you my $500 option video training lesson for free. No credit card required. Call 800-881-5252 now.
Sky looks amazing.
800-881-5252. 800-881-5252. That's 800-881-5252.
Please full conversion MLB Network Radio Channel 89. Brought to you in part by Kohl's. When life gets real, start at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Where families come first. This fall so far on the Howard Stern Show.
Fridays all day. Fridays all day.
Aubrey Plaza, Colin Jost and Michael Che, and Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. And coming soon, Howard's very first interview with Cher. This fall on the Howard Stern Show, exclusively on SiriusXM.
This football season went up to 1,000 times your cash every game day, only on Underdog. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite player stats like so much more. Millions of fans from all over the U.S. have won over $1 billion on Underdog. Underdog is offered in 33 states across the U.S., and this season, Underdog will be running a special promo or bonus almost every single day. Don't miss out. Sign up for Underdog today using promo code FANTASY100 and you'll get a free pick as a part of your first cast entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Again, that's promo code FANTASY100. Cash in on every touchdown this season with Underdog. Must be 18 and over, 21 and over in Massachusetts and Arizona, 19 and over in Alabama and Nebraska, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783. Or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK. Or text HOPE New York to 467-369. Fantasy Life here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Adam Rollins and Keith Clemens. We're going to help you guys out. We know it's a big week. Give us a call, 888-963-2682. Let's go to Aaron in Toronto.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for taking my call. I got a trade question for you guys. Teammate, the guy in my league is trading away J.K. Dobbins, and I'd be
RB trades. So I prefer James Conner. I understand that there's a little, people are always worried about the injuries, right? He misses games every year, but he does lose a little bit in the passing game, but he did catch 3 passes last week. He has 100 yards rushing 2 of the last 3. J.K. Dobbins was slowing down. Yards per carry really go down. 2.9, 2.3, 3.8, 2.9, 3.4. I just worry over the course of the whole season. Will he be able to hold up? When Gus Edwards comes back, do they use him a little bit? Again, not a lot of because maybe Dobbins backfield, but I'd rather have Connor the rest of the year. How about you, Gene?
Yeah, it's a really interesting trade because I don't know what you're trying to gain from the trade, right? Like, I don't know if you think one has more upside than the other, but I think it's really more like 6 in one hand, half dozen. Seen with Dobbins is a product of how the offense became kind of one-dimensional at the beginning of the year. Defense is adjusted, so then that made them have to open up the passing game more. Then defenses started to adjust, which allowed J.K. Dobbins to have success again. Both of the guys have injury issues, obviously, right? So that's one of those things. I personally, if I have James Cook, I'm going to stay put.
It was Connor. James Conner.
So James Conner, my bad. James Cook. I don't know why I said Cook. Because James Conner is going to get more of the red zone goal line carries.
He might be a little nervous.
James Cook would, right? He's going to get more of the red zone goal line carries. For him, I don't think he'll ever be in a situation where he's sharing that. And like you alluded to, there could be a situation where J.K. Dobbins starts to share that time with other people. And I think if that happens, that makes him a lot less valuable.
Yeah, I think when you're trying to make a trade, it's to upgrade your team. And depending on your perspective, that's really not a massive upgrade there. So I would just stick with James Conner at this point and not make the deal. And again, you don't see many RB deals. I just don't see many of them. Let's go to Mark in Virginia. Mark, what you got going on?
Hey Adam, long time fan. Used to love listening to you.
Oh, you said I used to, and I was like, wait. No, you got it. Nah, I can't deal with that guy. Anyway, I have to get rid of him. Nah, I'm just kidding. I love Scott.
Y'all made a good pair. Scott, I'm in a 6 point per passing touchdown league, and I've got Love on a bye. I got Q last night, started Gesicki, which over Ferguson, which probably won't work out. But anyway, the other guy had Joe Burrow, who's got 45 points, so I'm looking for upside. Love's on a bye. I can either start Stafford or Herbert, and I'm wonder, even looking for rest season, because Love's been kind of rough here lately. Maybe Herbert got the better schedule, looks better to hold on to, you know, or Stafford is like a 1 week, or maybe rest here too.
Gene, what do you think? Stafford or Justin Herbert?
I'm going with Stafford because I think that Stafford's going to be in shootouts. So it's like, I don't think he's going to have to throw the ball. That's their route to success, is for him to throw the ball. Even if it's throwing the ball to the running back, right? He's going to throw the football. He's getting all of his receiving weapons back. He has other receiving weapons who have stepped up to prove they can be on fantasy relevant. I think all signs point to Matthew Stafford putting up better fantasy numbers than Justin Herbert.
Right.
Yeah, for me it's Stafford too, and I don't know, he might be looking at Miami against quarterbacks and be concerned. Miami's allowed the second fewest fantasy points at the quarterback position, but always look at who they played before just realizing, oh wow, I can't go against this team. Look, Josh Allen just put up 235 and 3 touchdowns with him. Kyler Murray, who we said has done nothing the week before, had 307 and 2 touchdowns. A lot of their numbers are being brought down because they faced Anthony Richardson.
Says rubber duck. This is Big Papa. Watch for smoke on Route 36. Come on back. Breaker 19. That's a big copy there.
Oh, we saw a big
Rubber
fire.
duck. Big copy. Come on back.
And we saw a fire that was on the 89.
Yeah.
Which probably the fire was between. That must have been that fire that we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
And we were going through the mountains and we rolled through, I believe, near McLeod. And it was right over there to the left, which is where the 36 was.
Yeah. Shouts out to Phil Holland, aka Rubber Duck. This is Big Papa, aka Big Papa. They call me Pop. Come on back. Pop, the Big Papa. Come on back.
He said,
Said Rubber Duck. This is Big Papa. Watch for smoke on Route 36.
So
Big
it
team.
had to have been that big ass fire that we saw yesterday coming through on the inside of the mountain.
Yeah. We need to get us a CB radio. Yeah, this is Big Mama. I-5 North. Come on back.
That's what we have to live.
The chicken coop is closed.
What does that mean?
The chicken coop is the way station.
Oh, dang.
The chicken coop is closed. Come on back.
Some offenses that can they bounce back this week? We'll let you know next. It is Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Get closer to what's happening right now.
We are now in the good state of Oregon. Weather is nice. Come on back.
5 heading north.
5 heading north. Shouts out to William Redfield. He said, hey guys, long time no see. How you been? We been good.
Still rolling.
Yeah,
Still
rolling this freight. Right on up to 5. Come on back. Y'all got me in character now.
Didn't have anything to do with our amazing morning, Donnie?
Probably got a lot to do with it. Say what you hauling today.
Umbrellas.
We hauling umbrellas. Umbrellas is probably a hot commodity up this way.
It's a little late for that, isn't it? I said, I don't think so. I said, we still got plenty ready to go. I said, they might be winter ones. You know, I've always wanted those umbrellas that down like a half bubble.
Yeah.
Or the old school half bubble umbrellas.
Yeah, every umbrella I done had, if it was real windy, that motherfucker turned inside out.
That's
Like,
the
what the hell?
I know, but if you have the half ball umbrellas, it doesn't do that. See if we can find it. Half a bubble. Half bubble.
You go on my Peterbilt.
Oh, you know what? Maybe we can go ahead because of this check. We go ahead and take care of recount these things anyway, so we don't have to worry about it. How about we go ahead and figure that today?
That's good.
Get it out of the way. We don't have to worry about it.
Son texted me everything he said we was gonna do home, do when we got home as far as digging stuff up. We can have the girls start on that shit. They don't be doing nothing, sitting there watching TV.
I don't want this subject. I don't want this going to our clothes.
I was talking about anything in the garage that needs to go to Savers or to the dumpster or...
Oh, they said that, well, we cleaned it out, and then I said it got back messy, and they said it was just, they re-sprayed it back up. So it should be back clean again.
This is Fantasy Life on Fantasy Sports Radio. It is Fantasy Life here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Adam Price and Gene Clemens.
William Redfield, shouts out to William Redfield. He said, umbrellas a bit random, but okay, haha. Yeah, old random load, rando.
The umbrella's got to be transported somehow.
Yeah, we take the randos too.
Right.
I know umbrellas are how commodity and watch too. What's the rain up there?
The Bears, man, this Bears offense.
Right. Well, the thing about it is that we're taking it to a distribution center. So it's going to be branched out to the different people. To the different people. Regardless of whether it's in Idaho, California, Washington, remember this is a distribution center.
It's difficult to figure out what to expect from the Bears offense. They were really good.
He said, man, look at that view. It's beautiful.
Right.
We agree. Double tap that screen if you like the view. We got 75 people on here. We need 75 likes. If you like the view, double tap the screen. It's easy.
37.5.
Yeah. Unless you just want to sit on here and watch the view. I ain't got no problem with that, but I need you to double tap the screen, please. There we go. We got 4. We got 4 likes. Come on. Double tap that screen now. See 5. All right. We need 71 people to double tap the screen. It's easy. Tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap.
Right now, that's pretty interesting to say, since a lot of people were drafting Caleb Williams, Simmons would come in and immediately be on the tier that we've seen Jaden Daniels come in to be. So I would probably lean Drake May in this matchup if I was going quarterback to quarterback right now, because I don't have a lot of confidence in Caleb Williams.
Yeah, one thing with Drake May that he does provide is the rushing floor. We've seen him run, and he doesn't have the talent around him that Caleb Williams has. But May has played well. And again, last week he rushed for 95 yards on 8 carries. The week before, 46. We saw a game with 38. So he is giving you that high rushing floor. And again, Caleb Williams, as you said, against bad team, Eagles actually been pretty solid defensively. So it's been tough. Really bad right now for the Bears. The Colts, people last week were like, oh, Joe Flacco is the quarterback.
Just went out for a second. I don't know why.
It wasn't Minnesota, a team that can apply a lot of pressure, and obviously they can put a quarterback like Flacco. This week, though, the Colts are playing the Bills. Now, Michael Pittman, not in practice today from the early reports I've seen. So that's something to keep an eye on. But Josh Downs has been really good. 6 catches for 60 yards last week. Do you see the Colts offense bouncing back this week at home against Buffalo?
Well, it's interesting.
Yeah, and also Nico Collins designated to return, and he is at practice today. So this has been a wild story all week. I think a lot of people assume, well, we're not going to have Nico Collins. He is at practice today, so there is a chance that he does return. That game is Sunday night with the Texans hosting the Lions. So hopefully we have that news by Sunday morning so you can make a decision. Obviously, it would be massive for fantasy teams and hope CJ Stroud a little bit as well. But we appreciate you guys letting us help you. We'll be back. Gene, myself, and Kendall Melton will be back Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. But stay tuned. Coming up next, it is FTN Fantasy with Jake Seeley and Dave Martinez. They'll be with you from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern. Have a great weekend. Paul Kelly here. This fantasy football season, you need to make sure you score the most fantasy points. You know, right? Maybe not, but it is if you're listening to Fantasy Football Morning presented by Fantasy Points.
Brock Bowers is going to be the #1 receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you have him, congratulations.
Brock Bowers, first career NFL touchdown. Fantasy Football Morning presented by Fantasy Points. Weekdays at 7 a.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, channel 87, and on the Sirius XM app.
The biggest sporting events happen on Sirius XM Sports. Find out what channel your team is playing on by going to SiriusXM.com/sports.
This is the SiriusXM Sports Update.
Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson says it's trending that quarterback Trevor Lawrence won't play against the Vikings Sunday due to a left shoulder injury. Former Patriots signal caller Mac Jones will likely be under center, and he's always on the ready.
I've done a great job signaling my schedule as a starter, and just going through each week and preparing like a starter and learning from Trevor and the coaches and
I like Mac Jones, Daddy.
Yeah.
I like him. He used to play for, he used to be the quarterback for New England. They let his ass go.
Torn film, so been fortunate to learn from some good guys, some good veterans, and definitely feel like it's a good group.
Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield was at practice today with head coach Todd Bowles saying Baker's set to play against 49 on Coleman and possibly Amari Cooper. Colts Week 10 preview on Sirius XM NFL Radio Channel 88. Chris Sims joins Christopher Mad Dog Russo 1 Eastern on Channel 82. The American League champion
It's starting to get better, huh?
picked up the 2025 option on manager Aaron
I can
Boone.
get DK Metcalf
Matchup
and
of
Nico
college
Collins.
basketball Blue Bloods as top-ranked Kansas hosts number 9 North Carolina, 7 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM 194 and 198. Maple Leaf star Austin Matthews will miss his second straight game tonight against Detroit with an upper body injury, and he's presumed doubtful for tomorrow. And second round of the Worldwide Technology Challenge, Sam Stevens and Maverick McNeely here. He's at 9 under par, the ever-changing leaderboard. Coverage now on PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM 92. For Sirius XM Sports, I'm Zach Perkos.
If it's happening in sports, it's happening on Sirius XM.
Expert fantasy football talk from FTN Fantasy.
I am trying to do is accumulate as many players as possible who can absolutely pop off and get me 30 points, and Jamar Chase is one of those guys.
From Dynasty to DFS to season-long FTN Fantasy is your cheat code to help you win.
Looks like if they are down, play from behind Bijan Robinson, your target was like an 80% workload.
Time to head out to FTN Fantasy headquarters. Here are your hosts, Jake Seeley and Dave Martinez.
Game on, everybody. Yeah, it is week 10, and if you are like me in one of the leagues, like the flex leagues against a good friend of ours, Joey Wright, you face Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and you're thinking about things to do possibly on Sunday. Hopefully, you were the beneficiary of some of those scores that we saw last night, because it was a big night, except for Mike Gesicki, which we'll talk about. We're going to talk about last night, what it means going forward. We're going to preview the hell basically covered every single which way. But as you heard from the top, that reference to getting the best talent available was a discussion we had just yesterday about a Jamar Chase potential trade. And I was of the saying of that person who called was that having Cedric Tillman as my wide receiver 3, I want to double up and get 2. You were of I want as many chase-type players as possible. I don't think there's really a right or wrong way to cut it, but let me put it to this way, Dane. If you are, you know, they look like you're chocolate, but like this is fine. Because Chase just had it. It wasn't a 30-point game like your drop was. It was actually a 50-point game. I don't think you even saw that coming. You can basically name your price right now. What would it take if I'm saying, hey, Dane, I'm not in the same flex leagues as you are. I'm unfortunately on the other one where your Joey Wright is destroying my life. But if I came to you and I was like, hey, Dane, I'm a wealth of talent, and I want to get Chase from you because I'm trying to do the Dane Martinez strategy. I'm trying to get as many top-tier players as possible. What would it take? Like, would Tyreek Hill and Jahmyr Gibbs be enough for you? Because I feel like you might be able to name your price at this point.
Yeah, what's going on? Happy Friday, everybody. I think it's an interesting question, Jake, right? Like, the first thing I would say is, now is not the time. You know, now is not the time to try and do that, you know, with the idea of right off a 55-point game, and I do have him in a number of leagues. Big shout out to Phil and Sandro for making that the drop, because I was thinking the same thing when he went off. I was like, oh yeah, I just told Jake yesterday, this is the week-winning talent that I'm talking about, right? So it was a top 10 all-time performance. There you go. It was wild. But it also was not his career high in any category, you know, like the 11, the 260, whatever he put up, the 264, he's done better than that. But I think it's crazy is if you look at the two games against Baltimore this season, what he put up in both of those, I think he's pushing 450 yards in the two games. But I digress. You would think, to be quite honest, Jay, to answer your question, it would only be if I needed. I know.
Oregon Stadium done it.
The idea of Bill and Gibbs, because no, I don't think so. You would need to give me another guy that I, qualify in that rarefied winning air, and right now I don't know if Tyreek Hill fits that mold. It would need to be someone like a Jefferson, to be quite honest, and I would need another guy who literally is a huge value add for me at another position where I had an area of weakness, but I would not in any way, shape, or form, Jake, be doing that deal where I didn't at least get another player who I also believe is a very potential week-winning guy. I wouldn't do it.
You don't think Tyreek Hill is?
I listen, in general, I do. And this is an icky situation.
Okay, let me replace it.
Tua, because of the Tua thing. I can't trust that Tua is going to be upright for the fantasy playoffs.
That's fair. So, well, the Gibbs thing is clearly a top 10, 12 running back. So I was trying to think of a buy low wide receiver where, like, so AJ Brown and Gibbs. But I think, well, you know what? If we're going to nitpick wide receivers, I think who cares? I think the biggest question here is, like, it is the wrong time, but maybe as the Chase manager, it's your time to say, hey, I do have holes, and Chase is going to win me this week. Now I look to it, but what you're saying is that it's going to take whatever you consider to be a top 10 at both positions. Like, it's not just one top 10 and a 2 somewhere else. It's right. 2 top 10s.
Absolutely. That is what I'm saying. I am not going to do it for kind of like, I'm not going to do it, for example, as I look at wide receivers, right? Like, Drake London and Deebo Samuel does not get it.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get the existing of Drake London.
If you're going to tell me you want to give me Amon-Ra and Malik Neighbors, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Okay, but no,
What are you going to do with Daniel Jones?
You're right. We'll talk about my props a little bit later on in the show. Malik Neighbors is someone we will bring up. But no, I'm going to need to, at the very least, get another one of those quote-unquote week-winning positions.
So let's talk about one of those props from last night's game, because Chase just wasn't the only takeaway from this. There were some disappointing takeaways from this, but I want to stay positive. It's Friday. Let's stay happy. Chase Brown didn't get much in the run game, but it's the Ravens defense. We understand you don't run against the Ravens, you don't run against the Chiefs. There's a handful of teams like it. Still found the end zone on the ground, which is surprising, but more so, he smashed his receiving prop, which we talked about yesterday. Doubled it up. Nine receptions, by the way, for 52 yards. Chase Brown getting 13 for 42 on the ground. Obviously didn't even get 3.5 yards to carry. But because of what he did in the receiving game against the Ravens, which they are more successful in the receiving game to running backs, but and maybe we have to do what I always do with Meanie. There's a way we can figure this out if you want to, which maybe you can ask.
McCuskell's got me ready.
Oh yeah, to break down my Chris Jarrett, but we might have to do that.
That's what we gotta drop.
We have to do that.
What, the one we pick up? When do we drop it?
Tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Well then, okay. Let's see. The biggest question is like we get thrown out. Yeah, French Army. But then sometimes you talk it through and it's like, oh wow, he's actually 16 for me. So I'm gonna rattle a few names. Kyron and Joe. Next time that being. You're taking Bijan Robbins. Move on. We're taking H.N. Move on.
Oh,
Jameer Gibbs. Already brought him up. Move on. Reese. CMC. Yes.
they only take
Okay,
like 15 minutes.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I missed up here.
No. No.
Same pilot.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to that. I believe in Joe right now. Roger has some touchdown definitely, especially with terms Dobbins, maybe Connor, Josh Jacobs' workload. Josh Jacobs' workload is intriguing to me. That's not giving the slide. That's around the same area. That's around there. That's around there. So again, no matter what, even if I gave you Jacobs, and even if we threw in Kamara, we get to 13. So you take one of those out for debate's sake, and he's at 12. So to answer the question, he is a fringe RB1 going forward, like 13th spot.
So we'll come back and we'll stay here.
More so on the Kev Walker, because I agree with you on this. I actually think Kev Walker has been a little bit so high. Obviously, it's tough having some bye. Not a good time to do it, but maybe coming out next week. Something that's trending minds here is the receiving game has been working for him. And that's the only thing that's actually saving his day. So much so in the run game. And you bring up the colder weather, you bring up something that's very interesting about the Seahawks that Matt Mayo keeps bringing up to me, which is really weird, is that the Seahawks are basically like the new entire team version of Jared Goff. Indoors, they've been great. Outdoors, even at home, they haven't, which is really weird. But all that being said is, we've had a hit and miss with Charbonnet being healthy, DK Metcalf being healthy, Jackson Smith and Jigba finally did his thing with no DK Metcalf. But all that being said is, I just don't think Kenneth Walker is a top 10 running back, and yet, if you look at trade values, if you look on Yahoo, Sleeper, the trades that are happening, people are treating him as such, which makes him a sell high, right? So, I'm with you in general. One, like, open question for me, as it relates to Kenneth Walker, and quite frankly, Seattle, is last year, they were one of the more pass heavy, right? And Ryan was the offensive coordinator, and then more pass heavy, James, right? Which is right? Quarterbacks ain't getting maybe so to speak. Yes, so yeah, I think that is fair. Like my question is, does that come back to that? Right? You said DK on the sidelines, talking about and maybe they run the ball to add a little bit more balance, which I think would be a good thing for Kenneth Walker, even though I know you're saying in the pass game. But I do think that that ratio, I think they're being high. I think it's something like 60 to 65% for the Seattle Seahawks. But if that was a little bit more balanced, I think that's better for Kenneth Walker. But no, I'm still having these names, Chase Brown included, guys who I think are on that tier right around there as well. To me are James Conner, to me are J.K. Dobbins. We'll see what happens with these big three ones. But that's the level I have Kenneth Walker like around 35 as well. High to big margins. Okay, and that's certainly fair. So let's come back to this game for a little bit more. And is the Mike Gesicki fun officially over? Was that? Listen, wait, no. Was Joe Burrow doing this on purpose? Can we stop throwing to every damn person except for Mike? Like Tanner Hudson, Tanner Hudson is going down as the most hated player in fantasy as of right now in Week 10. Yeah, it was wild. I mean,
You got open. You can tell him where the fuck's open.
Went on 4th and inches where they had him come in motion. And yeah, you're right, because I immediately tweeted and said that's what you get for keep going to Twitter. That's ridiculous, right? You had Burton get in the mix. You had Gesicki. I think, I wouldn't say it was Burrow. I would say it was like this. They had 2 or 3 tight ends on the field at one time. I was going to say, don't forget about Cam Grandy getting a touchdown. I will admit, I did not know who the hell Cam Grandy. I didn't either.
Yeah,
I didn't either. And here's the other thing.
Brett said, who was that?
I was on the Gesicki anytime touchdown, right? So when they throw it to the end zone all the time, I was like, oh, it's a white guy. It's a tight end. I think it's my guy. But no, of course not. It turns out to be Hudson, right? So like, I don't think it was Burrow. I think that the answer after having no Higgins was to run like 12 and 13 personnel at a surprising rate. That's what surprised me. And then when you have 2 or 3
landslide. And this is an interesting topic we're going to have to talk about after Blickle, because we're going to have to come back to this, because it's which team do you trust most for the final playoff spot? Broncos, Colts, Bengals, Jets. There's a little interesting fact with who's running away with this, because as of right now, they are on the outside of the outside looking in as of last night in terms of who's running away with this. So let's talk about that, but quickly before we hit the break and get to Alex to talk some DFS. On the Ravens side, there's two factors, and I don't want to victory lap and say haha, because this is disappointing stuff for people, but it is victory lapping in the way of, like, it's what I've always said, and it just feels frustrating to me, because I just think this is the perception gone wrong. Zay Flowers had a terrible night for Zay Flowers, 4 for 34, but the perception there that I think what I'm going to say is he's old DJ Moore. DJ Moore back with the Panthers, was you just got to play him as wide receiver 20 every damn week. One week he's going to be top 10, the next week he's going to be 40th, he's going to average out as 20th, but you take the highs and the lows because that's just who he is, and that's what you live with. At the same time, his teammate Deontay Johnson, me and I talked about this last night, the trades that were happening with Deontay Johnson, like the situation got better, I could not explain it. I thought, I didn't want to call people dumb, but it just felt like a really dumb take. I have no other word for it. Are you with me in that just this is who Zay Flowers is, and Deontay Johnson is probably a lost cause with the Ravens?
So I am with you, Jake, on both things. I have shares of Zay Flowers, and so I have been riding the roller coaster out there myself, and in teams where I am a playoff team to the point of my week-winning studs, he kind of is when he only pops off, but I need the consistency there. So in some places, I'm looking to divest from Zay Flowers, because I can't have week 15 be one of those catches for 34 yards. I think that's great for the Baltimore Ravens, right? I think with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, you want to stop the run, then all of a sudden, out to the outside, Zay Flowers, I think that creates a lot of mismatches and a lot of opportunities for the Baltimore Ravens. But I am with you on the inconsistency on Zay Flowers. And quite frankly, Jay, I was with you. I was saying when the Deontay Johnson trade happened, I actually thought that it was a wash, if not worse, for his fantasy prospects.
I agree.
And I heard a lot of people saying, great, the upgraded quarterback play. I'll give you that. But then I was talking about how in Carolina he was the undisputed number one option. He falls like 4th and 5th in Baltimore. And the other thing I was saying that I didn't hear a lot of other people say was in Carolina, you got one kind of game script, repetitive. And in Baltimore, you would get the other end of the continuum in terms of game script, which is unfavorable to the wide receiver position. So when you put it all together, I actually thought it was a wash, if not worse, for the fantasy prospects of the
I could not agree more, and that's why I thought, again, I don't want to come for people and be like, haha, because at the same time, I gave Dane the toss-up. I said, sick year Zay Flowers for a touchdown last night. Guess what? Neither of them. So, I'm far from perfect, but we are going to come back and talk some DFS with Alex Blickle. Make sure you're ready for that this week. We do have injury news we're going to get to. Nico Collins might return. Cam Coleman and Michael Pittman are officially out, so we're going to have to talk about that and a lot more on today's show. So don't leave us. It is FTN Fantasy on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio.
Every fantasy football champion makes one defining move.
Brock Bowers is going to be the #1 receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, and if you have him, congratulations. Touchdown Raiders!
Fantasy Sports Radio can help you make that move.
It's really important to pay attention to the drops when waivers run. You're going to see some decent players drop, so make sure you're always looking at the drop.
Listen to the best analysts for lineup advice, trade questions, and roster moves. Make your move with Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius XM 87, and the Sirius XM app.
Managing your fantasy football teams can be tough.
Goes over the middle, catch by Brandon Ayuk. First down, Niners, but Ayuk is down. He's not getting up.
Well, FTNFantasy.com is here to help. We offer fantasy football managers the tools to help you. Featuring weekly rankings from yours truly, Jeff Ratcliffe, waiver wire advice, trade advice, 40-plus fantasy football tools such as League Sync, weekly player projections, premium content, premium NFL data, and our Discord community where you can chat one-on-one with our fantasy football experts. Fantasy Plus is 12 months of premium fantasy football coverage. Crush your opponents with FTN Fantasy Plus. That's FTNFantasy.com. Again, that's FTNFantasy.com.
Sports Grid Radio on Sirius XM as you cover this college football season.
time in the franchise's history, the Rams take on the
Right in the frog. Through the frog. That's it, frog.
The place to get the winning edge over the sports books this football season is Sports Grid Radio, channel 159 in the car and on the Sirius XM app. Every fantasy football champion makes one defining move.
Von Bowers is going to be the number one receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you have him, congratulations. Touchdown Raiders!
Fantasy Sports Radio can help you make that move.
It's really important to pay attention to the drops when a waivers run. You're going to see some decent players drop, so make sure you always look at the drop.
Listen to the best analysts for line of advice, trade questions, and roster moves. Make your move with Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius XM 87 and the Sirius XM app. Sports Grid Radio on Sirius XM has you covered this college football season. All-time college football rivalry this Saturday with Alabama taking on LSU. The line opens the Tigers with a 1-point favorite. The total started at 58, but is rising before the big game. They transmitted to Sports Grid Radio to stay up to date on all the latest. A place to get the winning edge over the sports books this football season is Sports Grid Radio, channel 159 in the car and on the Sirius XM app.
Join us Tuesday nights at 10 Eastern as Kyle, Lincoln, and I meet you between Fantasy Prep, Fantasy Sports Radio, and Sirius XM app.
Fantasy Sports Radio, where winning is a reality.
Here's what's happening on Sirius XM. Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals continue their winning pace as they play host to Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Today beginning at 7 Eastern, Sirius XM NHL Radio, channel 91. Sirius XM.
Best bets and beyond. FTN Fantasy is helping you win, no matter what format you play.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the FTN Fantasy Show right here on the Fantasy Channel on Sirius XM. Dave Martinez and Jake Seeley. Don't forget, by the way, FTN Show is a great promo coach. You hear us all the time talking about stats, talking about the action in the Discord, and talking about some of the work from our next guest, our guy, Alex Wickle. He joins us on Fridays. He makes us smarter, he makes us richer, and he joins us now. What's going on, Alex? How are you? I gotta ask you, I opened start off with like the games you want to stack it, right? And I usually see games in the 50s. I usually see like obvious explosive offenses playing each other. You always tell me both teams can kind of throw the ball and go back and forth and, you know, not necessarily grind it out. I don't know. I don't see a ton of those games on today's slate or on Sunday's slate. I look at, say, Buffalo, Indianapolis, San Fran, Tampa, the Jets, and the Cardinals as some candidates, but they seem like lower level candidates than we have usually. So tell me, what games are you looking to stack this week?
I'm with you, first of all. I think it's tough to find those really, really big game environments. There is one team that stands out as just having their one fantastic matchup. That's Minnesota going up against Jacksonville. You just shouted out stats up. We saw going into this week, obviously, Baltimore played last night, but going into this week, Jacksonville had allowed the second most deep completions, only behind Baltimore. We saw how true that came to fruition last night in the game against Cincinnati. They were also allowing about 100 yards more deep receiving yardage than any other team. So Baltimore changed that. Now they're probably second, but it's been an explosive play, just kind of bonanza against this Jacksonville defense all season. So bring Justin Jefferson to the mix in that matchup, and I'm going to be interested for sure.
Well, so we got a potential return this week. At least it sounds positive, like we're going to get Christian McCaffrey back. So how do you handle it? Like, not just Christian McCaffrey, obviously focus on him, but I just want to talk about this for general strategy. When you have a player of his ilk, of his talent, top 10, coming back, is the game strategy usually to attack it because so many people are going to be afraid of the return injury, or is it to avoid because it's not really basically worth the risk of him not even being 100%? Like, which way do you usually look at with these kind of guys?
This is such a good question, and it's such a hard one to answer this week. I think you always want to be weighing the risk versus reward, of course, and the toughest part of the equation to me this week is, let's say you do take McCaffrey and you see more performance from him. He is on the field most of the game. He is getting the particular reception, scoring touchdowns. is he still going to outscore Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, Bijan Robinson, who all have pretty good spots in their own right? I don't know. The answer is yes, and that makes me not want to take the risk.
Yeah, like don't forget about the quarterback position here. You know, are you know, there's the kind of stars, there's the scrubs out there. Are you paying up for one of the high-priced guys at quarterback this week, or are you going kind of at the bargain base? I mean, yesterday, Jake and I were joking that you know the new quarterback in Dallas, the new quarterback in Jacksonville. Would you ever take a chance on a guy like Cooper Rush or Mac Jones because they're not going to be home and it save you a ton of money at other positions, or are you paying up for quarterback positions?
I definitely can't say that I would never do it because last week I used Bryce Young and had a lot of success with that and then had a really good weekend. If he had done like anything at all, it would have been a great week. I had to get with him and the game was actually quite good. So that was close to working extremely well. So I can't say I'm not going to go all the way down there, but it's honestly, it's a product of the DraftKings pricing this year. We just talked about at the top of the year, there aren't many great offenses on this slate. And also, DraftKings is basically priced up everybody, so it's so hard to find the savings that you need if you want a Justin Jefferson or a Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley, that you're going to have to play some really ugly plays to get those guys, and maybe you just do that by correlating the quarterback. So it's definitely within play, but it also means that just like Justin Jefferson at the wide receiver position, the best GPP scores, the guys who stand out as potential GPP winners to me at the quarterback position are also the expensive guys. Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen are at the very top for us. So if I can fit any of those guys, great. I think if I had to guess right now, I would guess that my quarterback is going to be Sam Darnold and just say, I hope Justin Jefferson carries Sam Darnold to the promised land, but I don't know for sure what I'm going to do at quarterback here.
All right, well then let's come back to running back and talk about some of your plays this week. It looks like at least top heavy. It might be kind of a tough week to get in there. So are you looking at anybody inside the top 10 and maybe Kyron against Miami, or you hitting more in the mid trying to find a value this week?
I think the guy I'm most focused on is Bijan Robinson. His performance last week kind of went overshadowed because there were so many running backs who put up big performances with touchdowns. Bijan Robinson did not score, but Bijan had almost 150 scrimmage yards. Once again, he's been over 100 scrimmage yards in 4 straight. The receptions have been there like crazy, 14 receptions combined in the last 2 games. So his role is unbelievable right now. This is such a good matchup with New Orleans. He's not going to be as popular as some of the more expensive guys like Alvin Kamara on the other side of the game. So I think Bijan, the few $500 of savings versus McCaffrey, Saquon, Kamara, I think will really come into play. And he's also lower owned, so I really like him this week.
All right, as you continue to try to build a solidarity lineup with a guy, Alex Lecco, who you can always find over at MTN, I see you're going with a little Minnesota stack, right, against Jacksonville. I like that, right? So you talk about Darnold, you've already mentioned JJ. We got Bijan in a running back spot, and that's music to my ears, Alex, because I'm on his props that I'm going to be giving you guys later on in the show. Give me more wide receivers here, though. I got to round it out, and we're already spending money for Bijan. We're spending money for Jefferson. So what other wide receivers maybe are, kind of more lower owned, lower value, market basement kind of guys this week?
There are 2 who stand out to me in the low 5,000s. DeAndre Hopkins should not be $5,300 in this offense. We just saw what he did on Monday. He's just such a phenomenal wide receiver, such a phenomenal fit with Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to continue to put up big numbers, so he shouldn't be $5,300. However, he is going to be really popular. I just think it's worth all that ownership. But then Roman continues to kind of separate himself in the Chicago offense. Caleb Williams does not look good, but Rome is still actually producing. So once Caleb actually settles in a little bit, maybe he can against New England, defense that doesn't get a ton of pressure, I think Rome could really have a huge game. And I'm always looking in this range for who's the guy who can really give me a ceiling performance. I'm not just looking for the guy who's going to give me 11 fantasy points or 13. I want to know which of these guys can give me 25. And I do say really fits now.
Well, there aren't a lot of ceiling games at tight end, but we do need to talk about them. I've kind of been on the mindset that this is one of those few years where, like, I'm just paying up for George Kittle or Brock Bowers every single week. Like, I'm taking that because otherwise it's 15 or 2. Like, there's no in between with all these guys. Obviously, we have no Bowers, so are you leaning towards Kittle, or are you going to attack maybe a matchup play like Hawkinson or Kincaid? Where are you looking?
The first thing I'll say is I'm so glad it doesn't look like there's a super chalky cheap tight end like Gesicki last week or Kate on the week prior, where if I see one more really cheap chalky tight end score 30 DraftKings points, I'm gonna blow. I can't do it. It's so frustrating when you play the kind of contrarian style that I play. This week seems much more fit to my style there at tight end, because I'm with you, Jake. I love paying up at tight end and trying to get the separation from the field that way. Kittle, once again, projecting extremely well for us. I also think if you go to somebody like Dallas Goedert, seems pretty fully healthy. I don't think he'd be practicing fully with the hamstring issue if the hamstring was still slowing him down at all. So let's not forget just how effective he can be in this offense, and he's incredibly cheap for what he has done over the last few years. So there are some contrarian guys this week who really stand out. Kittle's not necessarily contrarian, but he's not going to be the 30% of the league we have seen from tight ends in the past couple weeks.
Yeah, I want to follow up on one tight end that his name was brought up specifically, and that is TJ Hawkins. Right, like we know the matchup. You're trying to get as many Vikings as you can. We talk about Darnold, we talk about JJ, right? And Hawkinson is interesting to me. I have a lot of like season-long fantasy rosters where I drafted Hawkinson, hoping that when he came back, he would revert back to a tight end that caught 95 balls in 15 weeks, right? So when he did come back, I think he was 3 for 27 last week, but only on like 40% snaps, 45% snaps. And you gotta assume he'll be out there a little bit more than that. How does the algorithm kind of treat the pricing?
Algorithm.
What he does when you see only one game and there isn't really enough sample size to know what 2024 TJ Hawkinson is. Like, can you take me behind the curtain here on some of those projections? And are there any opportunities, not only for Hawkinson, but in these kinds of situations that present themselves?
Yeah, it's a hard one to figure out. I think one thing that we know is he's going to be contrarian. He's going to be extremely contrarian this week. So I have a lot of interest. Now, if I'm not stacking Minnesota, I'm going to take Justin Jefferson instead of Hawkinson every single time. But within Minnesota stacks, I think you can definitely take both. And interesting note, using stats up from last week, TJ Hawkinson ran 25 routes. So his snap share was low, but he was on field a lot when they were throwing the ball. But you wouldn't know that from looking at his numbers compared to Josh Oliver. Josh Oliver only ran 15 rounds. For Oliver, 550, a touchdown. Hawkinson, 327, no touchdowns. I think we'll see the production swing back to Hawkinson's side sooner than later. So I think this might be our last chance to buy this low on Hawkinson. As soon as he has one of those 8 for 80 and a touchdown games that we know he has within him, he's going to be back to being either pricey or very popular every single week. So last chance potentially to get him at low ownership in the 4,000s.
All right, well then we'll get you out of here with, of course, defense. And I think I did my job by getting kickers out of DFS, but I haven't been able to get the defenses yet. So obviously you're shooting for ceiling here. Do you have one or two that you're looking for a potential high upside play?
Yeah, I think there are two ways you go. You either try to really separate a position, and for the second consecutive week, the Chargers are our top GPP scoring position. They delivered with 20 DraftKings points last week, so I wouldn't have any problem going back to them. If you want to pay down, the second best GPP score, the Denver Broncos. They have been just a really solid defense. Obviously, they're going up against Kansas City, so that is unnerving to say the least, but only $2,400. There aren't many cheap, viable defenses, and they actually do project well for us just because Mahomes has taken sacks and thrown interceptions this year. It's not like they have been invincible, and without Pacheco, they don't have the same type of running game that we have seen from them over the last couple of years. Obviously, they're still feeding on like crazy. They're trying to do it, but teams don't have to respect the running game as much as they do with Pacheco in there. So I think Denver still is viable down there at 2,400.
Well, he's not wrong. Yes, Patrick Mahomes, that was his first game without an interception so far this year last week. So if you want more not being wrong and get some winnings over at DFS, Alex Blickel. It's Alex with 2 L's in the second part, L-E at the end. Actually, A-L-E-X-B-L-I-C-K-L-E, the number 1 over on the X machine. If you see him with that wonderful golf swing, you know you have the right to count. Thanks, Alex, as always, and we'll talk to you next Friday. Come back from the break to get back to that news, more injuries, more wide receivers not showing up for this week. We'll have to talk about all of that. So stay tuned on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio.
It's almost the season, and you've got a sleigh load of holiday channels to unwrap in the SiriusXM app. Shake the tinsel right off the tree with Rockin' Christmas. Set the mood for a silent night with holiday chill out
a touch of Christmas class with Real Jazz Holiday. There are dozens of channels to choose from. Just open the SiriusXM app and search Holiday.
The UEFA Champions League is back on SiriusXM FC, and this year it's bigger than ever. Absolutely ridiculous! Real Madrid, Messi signed magic for Mo Salah. Now, more matches featuring soccer's most iconic clubs as they battle it out for European supremacy. What a start for Inter! Haaland scored the hat-trick! From the league phase to the final, the Champions League is on SiriusXM FC 157 and the all-new SiriusXM app.
Run your game as the basketball season ramps up with Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. The app is really simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projection, and you can win up to 100 times your money.
What's around me up, but
The flex play, so you can still cash out if one of your picks doesn't hit. Not only that, but Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy app with injury insurance. If one of your players goes down in the first half, Prize Picks doesn't count it as a loss. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code FANTASY and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code FANTASY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. With a weekend preview, here's Joe Dolan.
I'm going to have interest in
wide receiver Pearsall as a lineup filler on the DFS base.
That's what I'm shooting for.
I want the doc.
The main reason is that perimeter wide receivers have
A couple fish fillets in the life.
Quarterbacks Zion McCollum, Josh Hayes, and Tyreek Thunderbird have allowed a league-high 11.7 schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game over expectation to opposing outside wide receivers over the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, this besides
has
my best
averaged
one today.
1.38 yards per route run out wide, as opposed to just 0.71 in the slot. So while Pearsall has to compete with Jennings, Samuel, Kittle, McCaffrey for touches this week, he might get the most high-quality looks of those guys when he does get opportunities.
Here's Joe Dolan on Fantasy Football Morning.
Jeff Mansfield Eastern for Core 4 Friday. Ted Schuster and I reveal our daily fantasy football Core 4, along with our 4 favorite fantasy sports ratings.
Hold up! It's Jimmy Fallon, and you're invited to my place for Christmas.
Jesus, my place.
Get ready for a new channel of classic holiday songs handpicked by me. Plus music from my new Christmas album, Holiday Season.
I told Sally next time she heard something, let me know.
Yeah.
Getting you ready for this week's action.
Some days are better than others.
You're listening
Like
to
some days I don't need,
Fantasy.
I wouldn't even need an IB.
Fantasy Sports Radio. We're back, and sorry, brain fart there. Dan was like, I want to talk about this poll. And I was just moving like, yeah, I know. I was leaving up to you, doing so many shows with Beanie, and then you led in the last one. But yeah, so did JC and myself, who's completely off, as you can tell, right? I want to bring it up. I want to talk about this poll. I want to talk about this. I think it's kind of baffling where the majority is going. All right, so fair enough. We want to hear from you, as always, at SiriusXM Fantasy. The whole question we have is, in the AFC, who do you like best, or dare I say trust the most for the final wild card spot? Just to set the deck here, right? You've got the Chiefs and I think the Chargers, who are ascending and dangerous in the West. You've got Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the North. You've got Houston Texans in the South, and then Buffalo in the AFC East. That makes 6. Last time I checked, you need 7 in the AFC. So that next tier includes, as of now, and you're starting to see that like infant kind of column of the graphic at this point in time here. You got the Denver Broncos, the Indianapolis Colts, the Cincinnati Bengals, who just lost last night on Thursday Night Football, and the Jets, Jets. Those are kind of the next 4 teams.
Wouldn't be able to, but you would have stripped it if you pulled it out.
Dogs this week. The Jets
You
are
gonna be asked out. That's gonna be
and Cincy has
asked out,
already
Daddy.
lost. So Jake, what do you think about what the people are saying?
Round the back.
You answer.
You just gonna be riding without
If the
a thing for
Bengals
the
had pulled the
next
upset last night,
2 years.
which almost happened, I think the Bengals would be sitting pretty. I think because the results of the poll show what the perception is. It's like, who's the best team? Who on the field right now is the best team? I think they went toe-to-toe with Baltimore, in Baltimore, and I think a lot of people will be saying, you know what, I would still take the Bengals as of today. The problem is when you look at it, because of that loss, even assuming the Broncos and Colts both lose, they still have either the Broncos the same conference record or the Colts still have one extra win. The Jets right behind them, who probably can win this week at 4-6, would actually have a 4-4 conference record. And I'm saying all to say, like, it's not that I don't think the Bengals are probably still the best team. They have dug themselves into a hole because they are 2-4 in the conference, 1-2 in the division. There's a lot of tiebreakers they don't have right now, and they're going to have to make up a lot of ground in that department where they either need the extra win or they need to fix some of those tiebreakers, which they're behind right now. So that's why I'm not saying people are wrong to pick the Bengals. It just shouldn't be this much of a landslide. I would actually think that the Broncos are still in play because, yes, they have the Chiefs, but then you're talking Falcons. Where they go to Vegas after that. Browns, Colts, Chargers, Bengals. It's a 50-50 schedule, you can say, going forward. But I think you have to be the homer. He has a chance, looking at the rest of the schedule, that the Jets, as of today, could find their way in.
I think they can, especially if they get this win in the desert on Sunday. The rest of the Jets' schedule, there is only one game against a team that is above 500, and that's against the Buffalo Bills. And they play historically, they play Josh Allen really, really well. I look at the Cincy schedule. They're at the Chargers next week. That's not easy. They have Pittsburgh still on their schedule.
Oh, that's where we started the whole Trace conversation yesterday. Is because I'm looking at the Bengals schedule.
Right.
But go ahead. Sorry, I just want to throw that in.
No problem. And they finish off with Denver, right? Which could be a real, battle for that wild card spot. But I see the Jets with their schedule as still in this, especially if they get a win against Arizona on Sunday. So I think it is kind of interesting here. And if I had to look at it, I'm going to ride with Joe Burrow in that offense or Aaron Rodgers and what I think on paper is an ascending offense. Like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers has played great, but when you saw what they did on Houston, like, there were times with Adams, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, that's what it was supposed to look like, right? And so they've got Jacksonville still on the schedule. They've got a couple of also-rans still on the schedule. There's a universe where they heat up. Yes, I'm like Corleone over here. As soon as I'm out, they want to pull me back in. But the schedule smiles upon the Jets.
I will tell you this. In fantasy, the flex leagues, again, this team, I've been pulling off used Band-Aids trying to make this team just competitive. But I had to go to the quarterback pool because I lost to injury. And there was the two top options being Drake May and Aaron Rodgers. I went Rodgers first. I did the rest of the season.
Adams and Garrett Wilson
And the schedule. Drake May has a bunch of dudes. Speaking of players that might not come out this week, or are definitely out, at wide receiver, Keon Coleman is officially out. Not really a big surprise. They said that wrist injury was multiple weeks. I think the biggest surprise was that they were even saying he might be out there in practice at all, but he's out. Michael Pittman with that back issue is out. I think both of these are interesting. Darius Slayton's the other one that's officially out as right now. Puts Wan'Dale Robinson in play, as we know, the volume being there. I think that's the only where I would turn. I would not start thinking about Jalen Hyatt or anybody like that. It just Wan'Dale Robinson's the answer. But I want to come back to Keon Coleman, and then we'll talk Michael Pittman here in a second. With no Keon Coleman, this takes the doubt and hesitancy of Amari Cooper out of my mind. Like, Amari Cooper, I said this to Mimi, and I think you kind of echoed it a little bit. We didn't go super deep yesterday with it, but it sounded like I said the entire time as soon as the trade came is that Shakir's the mainstay. He's the constant. I made the joke about the Lost episode way back when. He's the constant. He's not going to change. He's going to be the same. Cooper and Coleman are the issue, and they could turn into what we're seeing. Here's my long version: is the Seahawks, which Shakir is not DK Metcalf, but DK is the constant.
Not always up to me. I would like to hear I would like to hear
the Cooper/Coleman situation was going to be the Lockett Smith-Njigba situation, which 1 week it might be one week it might be the other, 1 week it might be both, 1 week it might be neither. But now with no Coleman, as long as Cooper's ready to go, because we haven't seen the tick up in routes, but now they need it. And I think that I'm playing as a top 30 wide receiver, almost a must start in this opportunity.
No, I agree with you. You know, when you take that piece out of the pie, right, you can get some stuff elsewhere. When we brought this up yesterday, Jake,
I ain't worried about it.
Was that Kincaid becomes more attractive to them. Okay. Cooper, and you had Shakir, and you had Coleman. I agree with you. I think Shakir is the constant, and I think Coleman was kind of.
If I do the fish fillet, I might be okay.
Remember that grab he made against Seattle in the end zone? He was getting more and more targets. I thought the arrival.
I think they put it back on the menu, but they took the onions out. That's the thing that would give people cooking.
But we don't order onions on ours anyway.
For all three wide receivers, I actually thought Jones was the one that was going to be sacrificed somewhat. Now, he can still be, even in that scenario, kind of still a tight end one, maybe just a lower tight end one. But when I hear this news on Coleman, what my mind pivots to are guys like Kincaid and even, quite frankly, the running backs. Like, does this make, because Ray Davis has been intriguing, especially in the pass game. Right now, I know James Cook is the guy, but maybe there's a couple more targets for Ray Davis in the pass game, and maybe that makes Ray Davis a little bit more than just a stash. Maybe that makes him someone to consider moving forward. So I think that one is interesting on the Buffalo side. And on Pittsburgh, I gotta ask you, where does this boost a guy like Josh Downs? You know, like Josh Downs, is he a stable wide receiver too? Week to week with no Michael Pittman, and remember, Joe Flacco in the center, of course, not Anthony Richardson, and his 45% completion.
So similar to your Jets, you try not to be biased when you're going with the Jets fanship. You do a really good job. This is going to be somebody who tries.
I'm also like a curmudgeon New Yorker, right? I'm skeptical. I'm going to be self-deprecating here. There's nothing, good about having high expectations and going under them. A wise man once told me.
And I got an early football game on Sunday.
That's the way I'd rather be with my family.
Well, on the other hand,
Giants and the Panthers.
that's why I partly excuse myself from the fact that he's coming from a Josh Downs fan. Everybody who knows and has listened to me and read me this entire season and preseason knows that my entire stance in Josh Downs is Josh Downs
Unless you put your
is the
money
best
where your mouth
talent
is.
for this offense, no matter who the quarterback is.
I put my mouth where that money is.
With Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman, with Joe Flacco, okay, fine. We'll still have some inconsistencies, but at least he's useful. Josh Downs is this constant. He's the constant in this offense. So I'm saying that to say, when you say, can he be top 20 or wide receiver 2, I already had him at 21. And that was 21 before Michael Pittman. I would say directly in front of him, safer, arguably similar, but I would say ceiling and Tank I move up. Lavicon at 19. I might stop right there. I don't know that I can move him up that much further because I was already high on him this week. Because directly in front of him at 19 would be McConkey, DeAndre Hopkins, Devonta Smith, Darnell Mooney, Terry Carter. I can't put him on those guys. I would love to. So I'm down on the corner this week. I think Jaden Daniels and these Washington defense, the likes of which they have not seen so far this season, and I think it's going to tamper the entire production for Core and all commanders this week, to be quite honest. I can see that. I'll put it this way. I would agree with that. Man, I would agree. I would say Terry McLaurin is still higher ceiling. Josh Downs is your second one.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. So we do have to talk about somebody who has a super high ceiling every single week. But does he have it this week? Whether or not he even plays this week. But now there's a possibility that we might get the return of somebody who's been long needed in his offense. We're going to talk about it when we come back on FTN Fantasy on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio.
The NASCAR Championship.
The nigga sit right there, got it way back.
Hey, it's William Byers, John Blaney, and driver to crew chatter puts you in the car for every lap. The NASCAR Cup Series Championship live from Phoenix. Listen on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90 in the car and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
This week on Let's Go with Bill Belichick, Max Crosby.
Message 126. Important received today at 10:30 a.m. Brooks Terminal Deadline. As a reminder, it is critical.
15-yard run I've ever seen in my life. Listen to the extended version of Let's Go, now available exclusively on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Hi, Todd Raby here again to ask you a simple question. Why haven't you called my office at Wealth Builders Institute? Why haven't you called to see how trading stock options could change your life? I learned this method 25 years ago and never looked back. Because when my proprietary rules line up, 75% of the time, the price changes direction, creating a profit opportunity. You'll learn to be a directional trader because it works if the market goes up, down, or sideways. It's no secret stock prices are manipulated. You just need to know when the market movers are about to take action, and that's where I come in. My TSO method focuses on market reversals, which are short-term moves that
No
happen several
motorcycle track.
times each day. So if you
Motorcycle
fail with
track.
trading systems, they're probably just
Come
too
on,
complicated,
algorithm.
or they flat out don't work. My TSL method is as simple as 1, 2, 3. One strategy, 2 hours a day, trading just 3 stocks. Call now and I'll send you my $500 options video training lesson for free. No credit card required. 800-881-5252. 800-881-5252. That's 800-881-5252.
This football season, win up to 1,000 times your cash every game day, only on Underdog. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite players' stats like touchdowns, yards, and so much more. Millions of fans from all over the U.S. have won over $1 billion on Underdog. Underdog is offered in 33 states across the U.S. And this season, Underdog will be running a special promo or bonus almost every single day. Don't miss out. Sign up for Underdog today. And you'll get a free pick. Cash entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Again, it's promo code FANTASY. Cash in on every touchdown this season with Underdog. Must be 18 and over, 19 and over in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 and over in Colorado for some games, 21 and over in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. One in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncbgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT-STEP at 53342. New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. Hey, this is Jeff Mathis.
So you got slide the channels on this one? Take the lock off.
If you don't have a trailer there, then we'll have to go across the street. Across the way. And then blow it out there.
Yeah, we're back. It is week 10. It is bad news time. A lot of outside issues, but we want to give you the positive spin. Dave Martinez, Jake Seeley. We're going to help you guys.
Thank you for my nerds, Candy.
Most people would say
Oh,
that.
you
No,
want
it's just
that?
somebody in person. They're a completely different person than mine. Like,
The Audi's finna go to work. I gotta do the bumper on it.
in person. Name's it. K-Fape, is that what it is? Well,
Did it
that
have
means
a
do it in
bumper
real
on it?
life, too. He's a jerk in real life. You're like, I gotta keep that persona up. But you're talking about
So this nigga good for taking some shit apart.
no wide receivers to help you this week, potentially. But there is a big
Thing
one
is,
coming back.
these cars might be worth money in the long run.
But it's not so much
Because they
Nico
say when
Collins,
cars are
but he's
attached to
activated.
movies
It's just a simple
or
question.
I mean, you
I
could
wanna
be a
ask,
little bit careful
if
if you
Nico
touch
Collins plays,
the
is it
windshield.
as simple as he plays? He's in my lineup.
Windows on the back look like you got
Is there
the
hesitancy? Because the one thing I always say over the past years is that this, obviously, it's more for running backs in this scenario, but when a team has somebody performing well and they bring back a player,
I don't know.
that tells
I can't get it there. Maybe a toothpick. I mean,
why
a Q-tip probably could clean the windows on the
need
inside.
to make sure he's 100%, because that
on the
100%,
Yeah,
we're good.
that's
Like,
gonna take
risk and
holding the
like an
wheels
80% player. This
Oh.
is different. They need Nico Collins. His offense is hurting.
Don't laugh about-
under pressure. His
don't laugh
numbers
about
are-
fucking-
like he's a
Remove
bottom
the tape,
3,
Daddy,
4
so it doesn't look
quarterback
like your
under
window is
pressure without
dirty.
Nico Collins. He's in the top 10 of all the stats with
Okay.
Nico Collins when under
It's all
pressure.
down the
He's under
wheel.
pressure a lot. So I'm presenting you to say that they need him back. This isn't a luxury comeback situation. So is it as simple as putting him back in your lineup for you? Yes.
Yes, it is. First of all, C.J. Stroud, to your point, has been under pressure more than any other quarterback in the NFL this season. Over on Stats Hub at FTN, you can see that. I think it's 130 pressures, a good like 15 or 20 more than anybody else. I believe it's Gino who is second, but I digress there. Yes, Jake, if Nico Collins is active, I'm putting him right back in my lineup. Okay, absolutely, without any kind of hesitation, without a shadow of a doubt. However, the concern for me on this one, no, I mean, the answer to your question, James. The concern for me on this, though, is it's Sunday Night Football. Okay, and so you may not know definitive information until it's too late, right? So what I will say is this, and I know you know this, Jake, you tell people this all the time. If you can, move him instead of as a wide receiver into your flex slot. So it opens up the potential that if you want to go with him and then all of a sudden you can't, it opens up the universe of people who you could plug in for him in that scenario. Okay, if you have any questions about the player, you want them in your flex spot, not in that wide receiver spot, because then all of a sudden maybe you have another pivot that you can go to, right? Maybe like a Denard Robinson or something like that. You could still have, excuse me, I was thinking about shoelace from back in the day. I knew exactly what you're saying. But I'm just saying, the concept is still there, right? And the concern for me is the idea that it is Sunday Night Football. So while people are on the fence here, and we're hearing about different reports on this on Friday, the idea that it's Sunday night causes me some concern. But the answer to your question is yes, he's accurate.
So I want to take this a step further. I agree with you. If Nico Collins is in my lineup, I would even risk 50% of the snaps Nico Collins because it is Nico Collins. We're talking about top three ways. What I've said previously on like All in Fantasy is like it's time to put his name in the same conversation of Chase and Jefferson and in that upper crust tier because that's where he's been for the past year and a half, and people just not because of the name put him there. So why I say that is because this is where I want to go. When you're waiting for a player like Nico Collins, let's say you're waiting on a Josh Downs, and you're like, oh, I can't wait till Sunday Night Football. Josh Downs doesn't play. I don't have another option, or my waiver options are Demarcus Robinson, or even worse, my waiver options are Jordan Whittington or Odell Beckham or whatever. I'd be like, you know what? Play somebody in the 1 or 4 o'clock games because you already have somebody that's like a wide receiver 2 or 3. You're not potentially getting that top like that 30-point game that you were saying to get from a Chase that ended up being a 50-point game. Nico Collins could put up 30 points. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. Even if my backup plan is DeMarcus, even if my backup plan is Odell Beckham, go back to him again. Even if my backup plan is Odell Beckham. No, here's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. The reason I would wait for Nico Collins is because the drop-off to Nico Collins to everybody else is insignificant because it's the drop-off. You're not making up a Nico Collins. You could make up a Josh Downs, is my point. That's why I'm saying I would wait no matter what your backup plan was.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair because we've made it clear here, right? My strategy is to go big, swing for the fences, get that weak winning guy. Nico is one of them. So, absolutely. The reason I say the flex is because when we're talking about these options as like, oh,
you don't learn that, motherfucker.
you put them in the flex and then all of a sudden it doesn't sound sexy. But like, you get other options, like even a John Smith, let's say, could be another option you put in.
All right, who the hell cares?
Well, listen, you know, like guys like Tim Patrick, you know, that have been getting a couple of touches. You know, Khalif Raymond in that.
I would actually go Khalif Raymond.
You know what I'm saying? It opens up, you know, the potential of other options.
You know who falls into that conversation now? Sam LaPorta. Because that's all he is, isn't it? Yeah, he's a Hail Mary at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know it's been poor. I'll tell you what, Jake. That is like Exhibit A when I always say touchdowns are fluky. The man had 10 touchdowns last year, right? I mean, he's got 2 this year. Both of them were on trick plays. None of them were on a normal play from quarterback Jared Goff, right? But that's part of it. And the other part for Florida is really the breakout of this.
Yeah, so speaking of quarterbacks, by the way, second hour, stay tuned. We're going to get to your calls, we promised, in the second hour. We also have Mike Randall coming on, talk some betting, and continue with the news and game previews. But quickly, as we close out this first hour, we have a quarterback switch happening. We're going back to Will Levis. Don't ask me why, Dave.
Well, I'll tell you why.
Somebody ring the doorbell. Let's see how fast you want to be on it.
You know the answer. He's not good.
Package at the door.
They know,
FedEx.
but they got to get a little bit more tape on him before they draft, like, you know, Cameron.
They want more highlights to get
Good
rid of
answer.
a nice top 10 of most ridiculous pictures of Will Levis doing things. Like, he hasn't had the butt fumble yet. Like, at least maybe we can check that off. Are we playing bingo card of Will Levis stupidities?
Or maybe they know that
he
they give him a better chance to win, and putting in Will Levis doesn't mean they're drafting him.
Oh, you went the other direction with it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I guess, you know, that could be the difference. Mason Rudolph might mess around and win a game or 2.
Hey, girl, did you hear the doorbell?
Did she get the notification on her
Did
phone?
you get the notification on your phone? Oh, she said she can't download it till she pays it.
I was going to say she's fine.
Oh, Daddy said, no, you're fine. For what? Who pays for that? Do you listen to it like that? So how maybe when you add, well, and it's probably because you do have an extra on there. Oh, yours doesn't come with hotspot. How much does that cost you? Collins phone gives a hotspot. Do you know how much hotspot you have? Do you know how often you use hotspot? Okay, so how about you call them and take off hotspot? Because if you and Holly are together, you know what I'm saying, when you're at the house, you don't need Wi-Fi. There's no reason for you to use the hotspot. You know what I'm saying? And now Holly has hotspot on her phone. So if you guys need it for a tablet or a laptop as an emergency or whatever the case may be, she gets 30 gigs of hotspot every month. It came with my plan. They switched my plan. So cancel. And then what else is on there? Oh girl, we're trying to slim some stuff down. I don't know. Double check before you cancel yours. Because how much is yours? Because if Holly does have hers, because what's been happening is they've been charging us. So, okay, so if Hotlink has hers, then you need to take it off of your phone. How much is the hotspot? Okay, so what additional are you paying? There's no way in hell that for two cell phones, you should be paying $220. How much is your cell phone bill? For just your phone. And then Boo-Boo's is, so what's your total amount of your bill? Okay, so your phone bill is $221 for two phones. So this is what you need to look at. Why is number one is your phone bill $150? What all are you being billed for? So if you go to your billing and statement, you should be able to tap on the actual phone number and it'll let you know what you're being billed for. Okay, so the $10 for the Walmart Plus, you know that's going to be taken off of there. And then, how much extra storage are you actually getting on your cell phone? Because what is the extra storage for? I get that, but you should be going through some of your photos, cleaning those out. How much did it give you extra? We should tell you. So that's technically 2,000 gigs. Dude, that's a lot. Because there's 1,000 megabytes, that 1,000 kilobytes in a megabyte, and there's 1,000 megabytes in a gig, and then there's 1,000 gigs in a terabyte. So you're talking about 2 additional terabytes on top of the storage you already have on your phone. She can
run a small company with that.
You know what I'm saying? Daddy said you can run a small company. That's a lot of data and usage that you don't need. So this is what you need to do. You're with Verizon, right? Okay, you need to call Verizon and let them know that you need, when you talk to Hotlink on her lunch break, find out if she's paying for Walmart Plus. Because she is, which I think she is, you need to drop Walmart Plus off there. And you need to drop down your storage. You don't need it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Terabytes is a lot of usage. Now, I know that you're taking a lot of pictures. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? If you had, let's just say, 100 gigs, 100 gigs is a lot. Do you understand? That's a lot. And so, you're talking about 100,000 megabytes with 100 gigs. It's a lot of usage, and it's a lot of data storage. And the whole point about it, I know you do a lot of stuff on your phone, but you don't download that much from your phone anymore for you to have to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? You're at the house. You're going to be working from home. It's not like when you guys do go out, you're still not going to be using a lot of storage.
She's on Wi-Fi the whole time, right?
You should be on Wi-Fi the whole time you're at the house. Okay, so as long as you're using Wi-Fi, you're not using data, which means you're paying for all this extra data for no reason. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because your focus is to get your bill trimmed down. So double check with Hotlink to make sure. But if I'm not mistaken, because like I said, they charged us $6.47 last month, and the month before that, they charged us $19.99. We keep getting billed for Walmart Plus. Because when we buy something from Walmart, we put our card on there, and I'm supposed to take it off once we pay for it, like a day later or once we get our stuff, and I always forget. So we've been hit the last 2 times. So I just need for you to double check with Hotlink to make sure for sure she is paying for it. And if she is, you make that phone call to Verizon, you let them know, hey, I am paying $225 for 2 cell phones. I need to find a way to cut this bill down, or I'm going to have to look to AT&T. And that's it. Oh, okay. Now, what kind of storage can you add to your phone? Terabyte can't be the only option that you have.
Dog shelter, free all my dogs. Woo, 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 woo.
The post I need, but double check with how